In early August of 2025, Ghana was just shaken by a series of helicopter emergencies, all happening within a single week. One of these was a devastating national tragedy, and it claimed the lives of some of the country's top government officials. So today, we're going to break down exactly what happened, how the nation responded, and the urgent search for answers that started almost immediately. It all really kicked off on a Wednesday morning. A single critical flight took off on what was supposed to be a routine mission, something vital for a national priority, but it ended in a disaster that brought the entire country to a standstill.
All right, so let's focus on the main event here. This absolutely devastating incident took place over the Ashanti region, and it involved a military helicopter carrying some of the nation's highest-ranking leaders.
So let's walk through the timeline of that fateful day. Just a little after 9 in the morning, the helicopter leaves Accra, its mission to help with the fight against illegal mining, a huge issue for the country. But then, somewhere over the Ashanti region, it just vanished from radar. Gone. It wasn't until later that day that search teams made the heartbreaking discovery in a really dense forest. Now, what kind of aircraft are we talking about here? It was a Harbin Z9EH, operated by the Ghana Air Force. It's essentially a Chinese-built military version of a pretty common European helicopter. It was flying from the capital, Accra, to Obuasi. As for the cause, well, officially, it's still under investigation. So the moment that wreckage was found, you can just imagine the shockwave of grief that went across the country. This wasn't just some news story, it was a deep national blow. And it prompted an immediate and, of course, very solemn response. 8. That's the number. It's the final, tragic count. Every single person who was on board was lost. And as their identities were revealed, the true scale of this tragedy for Ghana's government, it just became painfully clear. See, this wasn't just any military flight. It was carrying key government figures. You had the sitting defense minister, Edward Omani Boma, and the environment minister, Ibrahim Mortala Mohammed. On top of that, a senior security advisor, the vice chair of the National Democratic Congress political party, and of course the 3 Ghana Air Force crew members. I mean, to lose this much leadership in a single incident, it's just a devastating blow. With a tragedy on this scale, the government's response had to be swift, and it was. A 3-day period of national mourning was declared right away. Flags were ordered to fly at half-mast across the country. An acting defense minister was appointed immediately to make sure there was stability, and the nation began preparing for a state funeral to honor all 8 of the victims. But here's where the story gets even more complicated, because it doesn't actually end there. While the nation was grieving this immense loss, 2 other helicopter emergencies happened, which started to raise some serious questions about broader aviation safety. Get this, on the very same day as the fatal military crash, a civilian helicopter had to make an emergency landing because of bad weather. And then just 5 days later, it happened again. A different helicopter, forced down by poor visibility. The common thread here in both of these civilian incidents was the weather. Now, thankfully, and this is the really good news, in both of these cases, everyone walked away completely unharmed. And then you get this really pointed statement from the Ghana Meteorological Agency, GMET. After one of those civilian landings, the agency basically asked, hey, where are these helicopter operators getting their weather information? And they added that the operators were not their official clients. This raised a huge question about the safety protocols for civilian flights, running right alongside the military's own investigation. And that brings us right back to the central tragedy. You've got a nation in mourning, you have all these questions swirling around, and so the focus turned completely to the investigation. What happened? That became the single most important question in Ghana. For the families of the victims, for the government, for the public, finding out what went wrong on that flight was now an absolute national imperative. So how do you even begin to find answers to something like this? Well, it's a very methodical process. An interagency investigation was launched immediately. The first really big breakthrough came 2 days after the crash when they found the flight recorder. The black box. The data from that recorder, that's what's being analyzed right now. It really holds the key to understanding that aircraft's final tragic moments. Now, I really want to be crystal clear on this point. There's been a lot of speculation out there, especially about potential technical problems with this type of helicopter. But investigators have not released any official cause. Right now, everything else is just that. It's theory. And so that's where things stand. Ghana waits. It's a nation mourning a profound loss of its leaders, while at the same time, investigators are working around the clock to unlock the secrets from Flight Z9's final moments.
The central mystery is still sealed inside that black box, holding answers that are just so vital, not just for national closure, but for making sure a tragedy like this can never, ever happen again.